and welcome to Five Things to Know. I am joined today by Anitra Eubanks Weaver with the Stakeholder Liaison's Internal Revenue Service. Anitra started her career with the IRS as an appeals officer in the Independent Office of Appeals, and prior to that, practiced in the area of bankruptcy law. Anitra, welcome to Tax Talk today, where IRS representatives and tax industry leaders come together to share their knowledge and experiences working in federal tax law. As a career tax practitioner and industry advocate, I know so many great people helping our nation's taxpayers. Though I understand that not every preparer is the right preparer for every taxpayer. I would like to hear your thoughts on how taxpayers can find the right preparer. First of all, again, welcome, Anitra. A few quick tips that you may have that you can offer for choosing the right tax preparer for your needs.
First, thank you so much for having me, Alan. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. So the first thing I tell taxpayers is I tell them to choose carefully and to find somebody they trust. Because at the end of the day, it is them, not the tax professional or the tax preparer, that is responsible for the information that is submitted on the return. Another thing I would recommend is for people to visit our website. On our website, we have what we call a Tax Pro directory. And in that directory, it's searchable. And pretty much you can find qualified preparers in your area. So that is a good thing that taxpayers can do. Another tip that I recommend, and this is an important one, I recommend that you find someone who is available year-round. And the reason I say this is because many times questions arise after tax season. And if you're only dealing with somebody who is open during tax season, you're going to have a problem. And finally, I would tell people to look at the preparer's credentials, look at their qualifications, review past disciplinary actions. All of those things are very important.
You know, as a tax professional, Anitra, I find that there's areas of tax law that I just don't specialize in. And I have clients that come in and they can be clients for years, but they run into a certain situation. We have options. We can either stop and learn it, or we could refer it out. In your opinion, or in your thoughts, I should say, would it be best for, or I guess it would be an individual choice, but what do you suggest in a situation?
It is perfectly okay for tax professionals to refer matters out that for whatever reason they can't handle. And I'll give an example. If you go to a doctor, a general practitioner, and you have a heart issue, that general practitioner is going to refer you to a heart specialist. They already know that they can't handle that. So it is perfectly okay for tax practitioners to refer matters out that they can't handle.
That's a great analogy. You know, I don't go to a surgeon for a hiccup.
Yes, yes. Yes.
You mentioned on the IRS has links on their website. A couple of them, are they easy to find, and how would they find, first of all, how to check if the preparer has credentials, what kind of credentials, and are they even allowed to prepare? How would a taxpayer know such a thing?
Many of the answers to your questions you can find on our website. It is very searchable. It's very easy to use. So I would encourage you just to get online and play around and look at the website. It's in very plain language. So it's not a lot of text language on there. It's very easy to use. Another thing is with that directory that we discussed earlier, it is searchable. You can find the qualifications, the credentials of the preparers in your area. Another thing that I tell people is to check your local Better Business Bureau. Many times, if that person is doing business, and if there are complaints, number one, or if they've been suspended, you can find that out with your local Better Business Bureau. For those CPAs, those attorneys, those tax attorneys you may be using, there are state regulatory agencies that govern these professionals. So with CPAs, they usually have state board of accountancy that govern CPAs. Attorneys, you have your state bars. So you can find credentials easy. So you should not be going into this situation blindly.
So I'm an enrolled agent personally, and as such, we are all regulated under Circular 230. We can go to the Office of Professional Responsibility under those, and there would be a list of those who are sanctioned or that as well. Now, I'm just throwing this in there as a side comment for those that are looking for that tax preparer. Each one of these CPAs have a CPA society, enrolled agents have National Association of Enrolled Agents, as well as state societies, as well as attorneys have the bar societies. There's another avenue that you can go to reach out to potentially look to help find somebody in your area to help you. Are you aware of these, Anitra, or any other suggestions you may have?
Like I said earlier, I think, and I've actually used the Better Business Bureau. The
Okay.
Better Business Bureau has a wealth of information. And when we think of tax professionals, many times we just think of IRS. But if they're doing business, then consult your Better Business Bureau. And another thing, Alan, I'll add to that is many times we forget to just ask a friend, ask a colleague. These people may, if you're looking for a tax professional, if you ask around, you can find good people simply by asking around. If nobody has ever heard of this particular tax professional you may be willing to use, or they just randomly pop up, just ask around. Sometimes you can get a lot of good information just asking your friends and your family and your colleagues for suggestions.
Well, I know personally that I built my practice on referrals. I don't, and I'm sure many of the practitioners out there do as well. So that's a great point to make. Now, I'd like to move on. What would be best for someone looking for a tax preparer? Maybe finding out what kind of preparer they need and what kind of questions maybe they should ask for a potential preparer to help them decide that.
I tell taxpayers, basically, you look for someone based on your specific needs. Now, I know that's not this big enlightening comment, but what taxpayers need to understand is that not all tax professionals or tax preparers are created equally. They have different skills, they have different expertise, they have different experience. Another thing I tell people is look at the representation rights. And that is a biggie. I don't think people really understand that when you are looking for a tax professional, you want to make sure that they can represent you in the event of an audit, in the event of a problem. And I give you an example. Enrolled agents, CPAs, attorneys, they have what we call unlimited representation rights. So what that means is they can represent taxpayers on any and all matters before the IRS. Then you have that group of preparers that have what we call limited representation rights, meaning we restrict them on what they can do. So they may be only able to represent the preparer whose taxes they have filed or the preparer whose taxes they've actually signed. And they cannot represent taxpayers on all matters before the IRS. Then you have that other batch of preparers that have no representation rights. They simply are just able to file your returns. So that is one of the things that I tell people when you're looking for a tax professional, you need to consider the representation rights.
Very good points. Thank you. Now, I'd like to focus a little bit on the quote unquote ghost preparer. And I bring this up because last year I represented four separate taxpayers that used a ghost preparer, and it did not go well. But I'm going to let you explain what a ghost preparer is and some signs that the taxpayer should look for to see if they were dealing with a ghost preparer.
Okay, thank you, Alan. So a ghost preparer is simply a tax preparer, that does not sign the returns that they prepare. And the way this works in real life is you have a preparer that prepares a return, but they refuse to sign that return. And many times they will get the tax the taxpayer to sign off on the return as if they signed it. Now, not only is that unethical, that is illegal, because by law, if you are preparing returns and you're getting paid to prepare returns, keyword being paid, if you are getting paid to prepare returns, not only should you be signing the return that you prepare, you should also be including your PTN number on the return. And that is pretty much just a preparer tax ID number. And what we tell our taxpayers, normally these ghost preparers, there's a running theme. Number one, they're unethical. Number two, they usually promise large refunds. They usually request a percentage of the size, a percentage of your refund. So they request to get paid based on the amount of your refund. Another thing is, and this is a big one, I've personally seen this. I tell people, these ghost preparers, what they're doing is they are filing returns, but they don't have adequate documentation to back up the information that they're putting on the return. And I go back to my earlier comment. At the end of the day, you are responsible for the information that is submitted on those returns. So avoid these ghost preparers at all costs.
You mentioned the PTIN, and that's everybody that is a preparer for money, for fee rather,
Yes.
is required to have a PTIN, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just want to make sure I got that correct. The one last question, and again, I really hate to even ask this question because I don't want to think there's ever anybody in the industry that I've held near and dear to my heart for the last 37 years that would be needing to be reported, but unfortunately, like we find, there's always unscrupulous in every industry. Who can we contact with complaints about a tax preparer?
And I'll just say this, Alan. I have to say this, and I say this a lot of times when I do these talks. Many of the preparers that I personally deal with while working at the IRS, and many of the preparers that we deal with on the whole, they are honest, hardworking, upstanding individuals. They are. But, and we got to put the but in there. Sometimes there is a need to file a complaint. And because we know this can be a stressful time when you have to file a complaint against anybody. We understand it's stressful. So what we do is we try to make it as easy as possible for our taxpayers whenever they're trying to file complaints. So we allow them to go on our website. Most people file the complaint at irs.gov, which is our official website. Not irs.com, but irs.gov. That's the first thing. If you don't want to file the complaint via the website, you can mail it or you can file it via fax. And all of the contact information and more information that you need, again, is on our professional website, on our official website. Another thing, Alan, that I do want to address is we at the IRS understand that there are unethical preparers out there that are intentionally misleading our taxpayers. We know it, y'all know it, everybody knows it. But we do understand that there are some tax preparers out there who we think would do better if they had a little more education and guidance, okay? So for these particular preparers, and if you're watching, if this applies to you, you may not have official IRS credentials, not all is lost. We recommend that you join our annual filing season program. And what this does is, there are a lot of benefits that come with doing this. Number one, it gives you the IRS recognized credentials that you need. Number two, we include you in that tax professional directory that I've been referencing throughout this interview. So we are like if there's free promo, why wouldn't you take that? Okay. And again, it just makes you official. And another thing, it gives you limited representation rights, meaning you can represent your clients if need be on a limited basis. It's not hard to join. Not hard to join. Basically, you just take IRS certified courses. Many times they're online. You obtain your P10, and you agree to abide by certain IRS rules and regulations. So to me, that is a small price to pay for a big benefit. Or I just think the benefit is going to outweigh anything that you have to do.
And I'd like to bring up another great way to get this education that you need, and that would be at the IRS Nationwide Tax Forums. Since the
Yes.
date's been published and the city's been
Yes.
published, go to the IRS Nationwide Tax Forums, I believe it's .com, and you can see the list of dates. I believe the classes or the sessions will be posted shortly, or some idea thereof. We'll post it shortly. Anitra, any last words that you'd like to throw in here before we wrap this up?
I would just encourage our tax professionals, as well as the general public, our taxpayers, to sign up for our IRS e-news subscription. Now, granted, if you're a tax professional, you get one type, and if you're just a regular, a general taxpayer, you get another. So pretty much what these e-news subscriptions, what they do is they provide the latest tax updates. They also, for our tax professionals, provide you with information on upcoming webinars that you may need to obtain IRS CE credits, or just your CE credits. That's the first thing. And last thing, I just want to say that at the end of the day, it is in all of our best interests that our taxpayers file accurate, timely returns. It's just best for all of us.
You know, it's funny you bring that up, because I was just reading one of the IRS guidance that came out through the newsletter, and it had to do with the Trump accounts. And so it was just timely that you brought that up, because I was reading that this morning, actually. With that, Anitra, thank you so much for joining me. This has been really great. And thanks to all of you for joining us, and and also for your service, helping the nation's taxpayers. We look forward to seeing you again in the future. Thank you all for watching. As always, it's been great learning with you, and be sure to join us again on an upcoming Tax Talk Today program.